Welcome to Commander Pop Culture, a place to gather magical information, with some laughs, might I add. Rotating Fireplace. It's a scaling mana rock. It comes in with a time counter. You could add mana equal to the amount of time counters on it, and for 4 mana activation, you could time travel. I could see this being played in just any deck that's caring about time counters in general. Time travel mechanic is super powerful. You get rewarded, obviously, with this permanent. Frostfair Lurefish.
Try saying that 5 times faster.
Frostfair Lurefish. Frostfair. I can't do it. It's too hard for me. When it enters, you create 2/1/1 fish tokens and 2 tap treasure tokens. It has a foretell cost of 5, and fish can't be blocked by humans. This just feels like a weird card to me. Like, you can make a big body, and then you make random fish tokens, and you make random treasure tokens. Like, I don't understand the flavor of this card at all. Thing's pretty expensive to get what you want. The ETB trigger, at least you could flicker this and get some funny shenanigans going with that. I don't see myself going on my way to make a card slot for this thing. Quantum Misalignment. Make a non-legendary copy of something, and then it has rebound. So essentially you get 2. That's not bad. It's just a little spendy. You have 5 mana, but who knows? Making legendary copies of things that aren't supposed to have copies of it in play tends to be a broken effect. If there's a will, there's a way. Dan Lewis is in German, so I have to read it down here. Has Doctor's Companion. Artifacts that are neither a creature or equipment you control are equipment in addition to the other types, and they have equip 1, gives +1/+0. You can take advantage of your tokens you have lying around, like your treasure, your food, your clue tokens, and turn them into little, like, cost-efficient equipment. This is a cool little Doctor Companion. Probably one of the better ones we've seen so far. I love the name of this card, Flatline. Makes everything a 0/1 for your opponent's creatures. Feels like a cool combat trick. Bill Potts. It's a Doctor's Companion. This is a first where we have something that copies targeted abilities or targeted spells, and you get to choose new copies. Usually it's one or the other, but since you get both, you could make a pretty unique deck with this as one of your commanders. I like this card. Who knows, maybe there's a doctor that you pair up this with, and you copy their triggers if it targets Bill. Danny Pink has Mentor, and it has a way to draw cards. If you put a counter on your stuff, you'll be drawing 1 card a turn. And drawing 1 card a turn for 4 mana is not very much worth your time, especially when it comes with an attack trigger. That's its floor. I don't like it. Your card slots are important. Come the Pilot. Enchant a non-commander creature. You control it. It gets +2/+2 and can't be blocked unless it's attacking its owner. It's like a fair control bind. You're rewarded for attacking the other player's stuff, but not its owner.
Why make things worse? Leave him!
This feels like an uncommon. I don't like it. Feel like it's a waste of a rare slot. Twice Upon Time. For 3 mana, you could tutor a doctor for its adventure. For 6, you get a sorcery that if you control 2 doctors, you take an extra turn. At least it exiles itself. Taking an extra turn based on 2 doctors in play, if you're playing a lot of doctors, that seems fairly decent to do when you could tutor half of it up with the sorcery part of this card, or the adventure side. If you got a doctor in your command zone, this just seems like an affordable extra turn spell with extra value. Confession Dial. Surveil 3 on ETB. This is cool. Gives a legendary creature escape until next turn. I love the escape as mechanic. It's basically like flashback for creatures, and you can give any legendary creature that. I could see this finding a lot of homes in decks if you could spare the room for it. If your commander is particularly important, you can elect to put your commander in the graveyard and then be like, oh, you know what? I'll just cast him from my graveyard with escape. It just seems like good value because you could dodge your commander attacks. Kate Stewart. She's a payoff for permanence with vanishing. Whenever you put a time counter on a permanent, you make a 1/1 soldier. And then on an attack trigger, you have to sink 8, so that's not a cheap cost. All attacking creatures get +X/+X for each time counter on stuff. If the attack trigger wasn't 8 mana, I would say this would be a pretty fun card, but cost is just probably way too much. And the fact that, like, you only get a max of 1 soldier token despite however many time counters, 'cause it says 1 or more. So if I put 3 time counters on something, I would only get 1 soldier. So this card kind of sucks. Inspired Refrain. You'll always be casting this or suspending it because of its clause. You could pay 6 to just straight up cast it, or you could suspend it for 3 turns. But on resolution, you draw 2 and you suspend it again, and you just put it in this infinite loop. If you're playing Suspend, I think this is an auto-clued for your decks. Graham O'Brien. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, you make a food token. That's kind of lame. This is a weak Doctor Companion. Turn the Past. Dang. This is an enchantment that gives all your instants and sorceries flashback. People play Past in Flames just for, a one-off effect. Granted, it's only active during your turn. Giving instants flashback only during your turn kind of is a feel bad. But I guess if you have interaction and people are trying to interrupt you on the stack, it's like, well, I got access to this. This is going to probably be a popular enchantment. Flaming Tyrannosaurus. This thing just likes to punch people over and over again. It has menace and it's a 5/5 for 7 mana, so that CMC is really expensive. But whenever you cast something from anywhere other than your hand, it does 3 damage to any target, so you can just plink things off.
Looks like we're all far away. When I aim it straight at you.
And you get to put a counter on it. So red is known for their impulse effects. You should be able to cast a lot of things from exile. It's a good rubber band effect for a 7 mana spell. I like it. I like that as evasion, and it gets bigger and scarier. It also has a death trigger. When it dies, you deal damage to each opponent equal to its power. You can manipulate that in more ways than one. You could also throw on equipment and other ways of making him bigger and put people in a weird position because they want to kill this thing to stop you, but the moment they kill it, then they lose a ton of life.
Come on, I want you to do it. I want you to do it. Come on, hit me. Come on, hit me. Come on, hit me. Hit me.
So it's going to be a painful trade-off no matter what. I like the design on that. This has basic land cycling for 2, and it has an escape. Just kind of like feeds into itself. It's just kind of like a good value card. You get to discard it, get a land, and then down the road, you get a 6/6. Other deal with flying and trample. It's cool. I'll probably run this in like my cycling deck. Strax, Stontran Nurse. What a disturbing looking nurse. For those of you who don't know, I'm a registered nurse, so I hope I don't look like this guy. Maybe I do with my hat on. Grenades. You get to sack an artifact. Choose a player random. When you do, it fights another target creature that player controls. Glory of Battle. When it deals damage to a creature, you get to put a counter on him. So this guy actually does a lot of work. The miracles of wielding a shovel, I guess you could say. He has Vigilance and Trample. You get to go to combat, attack for that Glory of Battle trigger. And then you could wait till the end of the last person's end step, tap him and fight something. I like this card. It's designed well. Madame Vastra, partner with Jenny Flint. Because this creature has to be blocked, it forces the defending player to pull something over to Madame Vastra so you could potentially get in with your really big Jenny Flint. And then you get a bonus of making Jenny Flint bigger because if something dies to Vastra, you make 2 tokens. Into the Time Vortex has Cascade and Rebound. Cascade for anything that's 4 or less mana, and then you get to do it again on your next upkeep. Not a bad deal. I feel like there's another red card that also does this. I don't remember what it's called. It has Cascade, and it is 4 mana. So this is Jenny Flint. First strike and training, and when you sack a food or you sack a clue or food, you put a +1/+1 counter on this. So again, it just pairs itself nicely with Madame Vastra. Me, the Immortal. Is it just me, or does that look like Arya Stark?
Tell them the North remembers.
It helps that everything is really dark. Hides a lot of features. This is basically a Skullbriar. It's slightly better because you get a choice of different types of counters other than +1/+1. The Vigilance and Menace counters are desirable. You don't need a lot in play to make her lethal. And then the counters stick no matter what zone she's in. I like this card a lot. Carvanista, Loyal Lupari. Sorcery, Adventure, humans you control get indestructible till end of turn. Yeah, it's at sorcery speed, so you can't like survive a board wipe, but you can survive a board wipe of your own or make it so you don't lose any of your stuff on combat. It's creature side. You put +1/+1 counters on him for each human you control, and it has Vigilance, Haste, and Trample, the unholy trinity normally found in Boros. So that's kind of cool. And that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed all of today's spoilers. I had a good time. If you stuck around to the end, you must have liked hearing what I had to say about these cards, the applications, what's worth your time, what's not worth your time. Since you did like it, subscribe. You'll be notified of the next video I do covering the Doctor Who spoilers. And if you're interested, I do plenty of other stuff outside of just talking about spoilers. Gameplay videos, and I also do deck building videos. If you like my take in here, you'll certainly like my take in there. As you can tell, I like to splice little movie scenes. It's like the little tie-in to the channel names. Everyone have a good night. Take care now. Bye.